Welcome to Sports Scope, the most influential sports talk show in the nation.
What is today, the 19th?
Stay tuned for updates and great sports content.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Real Sports Scope. I'm your host, Robert Butler, with the Mad New Yorker just popped up backstage here. Going to go over the Super Bowl with him since last week. I won't be on here live tomorrow, but we'll have replay of that great interview with Chrissy Clack, who I brought on last week. In case you didn't get to see it, she's on her way to stardom there. Big time comedian on the rise. Plus tomorrow is Valentine's Day. So the Mad New Yorker might be out with the Mrs. Mad New Yorker for all I know. So, and I'll be driving Uber trying to make some extra money. All right. Stand by. We'll take our only break and we'll hit the ground running here shortly here on the Real Sports Scope. Hello, Sports Scope followers. The program has seen tremendous growth since going 5 days a week. I just wanted to thank everybody for your cash contributions and sharing the program with friends and families. Just a reminder, if you want to contribute to the program, go to the Cash App, the cash sign, and Sports Scope. There are other ways to contribute to the program listed at the bottom of the screen. If you want to advertise on the program, go to sports, that is sports with an S, another S, scope, SKOPE, at gmail.com, just like it's listed at the bottom of the screen. Thank you and enjoy the program.
I'm Mac, CEO of National Streaming Sports and host of the Mac and Jack Sports Show. You're watching the sharp-dressed man and the big story breaker, Robert Butler, on Sports Scope, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern on National Streaming.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
All righty then, let's bring up the Mad New Yorker. Pretty good crowd tonight. Hey, man, been dying to know what is your thoughts on this past Super Bowl. Didn't see that coming. Only person that saw that coming was Jamie Paggs.
Jamie Paggs. Is he sober yet? Can you bring him on the show yet?
Man, he's been in he's been in the Philadelphia ER the last 2 days, having his stomach pumped from all that alcohol.
I figured he'd be in Disney World with Jalen Hurts.
Disney World, exactly.
No, it was happy Thursday.
What you think?
Happy Thursday, gonna be on. Thank you for having me on.
Appreciate you coming on.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of things to say, but I think the Eagles said it all by having the better team on paper and actually put it into play on the field. Yeah. We actually talked about the Eagles having a better team all last, in the last season.
Last week, remember?
Yeah. And in fact, we were hesitant to pick the Eagles, and we ended up picking Kansas City because we both thought that Mahomes would have the better game of the two quarterbacks, and it just didn't pan out like that. Kansas City looked tired. They looked like they finished after the first quarter was done. They looked like they was probably going to pack it in. It was good that they came out and were competitive in the second half, just to kind of make it somewhat of a game half a quarter or for the third quarter. But yeah, I mean, the Eagles did what they had to do. I give a lot of props. I think a lot of the achievement and the reason why they're where they're at is defensive coordinator did an impeccable job. The defense was helping the Eagles in a lot of positive movement for when their offense came on the field. Kellen Moore, stuck to a plan. They couldn't get Saquon going, but they had the opportunity to.
Yeah, how impressive is that? 57 yards off 25 carries, and Jalen Hurts still finds a way offensively to make the plays. What's your thoughts on that aspect of Spags? Actually, they did. That's technically stopping the run, if you ask me.
Right. And then we mentioned that if anybody had to do the most and be a better player, it would have been Jalen Hurts. He would have to carry the team, and he carried the offense. But that defense gave him that opportunity to be in positive yardage, to be moving forward always. That Eagles defense. I'm not trying to go back on what I said because I picked the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl.
Yes.
But throughout the season, I mentioned that this young Eagles defense was one of the best. They were rated one of the best, and I've always said that defense wins the games, and then they did that. I'm not a big fan of saying the better team on paper will win the football game, and we saw that this time it worked out that way. But it was just incredible to see every aspect of that team be balanced. Like you'd rarely see a team go out there and be balanced like the Eagles were. And they shot up more than 30 points. So if you're an Eagles fan, be happy, be proud. If you're a Chiefs fan, you can't just go out there and try to come back from behind every game. I think that's something that we talked about as well.
Yeah,
that's true. It's not easy to come back after 20 points, being down 20 points, much less being down 27 plus points.
And they had 10 one-score games all year. I mean, it was just all year the same thing for them.
Right, so they were actually almost consistent with their yearly play out of games as far as average per yard and per score, right? Per score per game. So, and the Eagles, they did what they were doing in the end of the season against the other teams and averaging 30-plus points, defensively shutting down quarterbacks and keeping less points per game as well. So, I felt after watching the game, I probably would have felt better had the Ravens played the Eagles. I think that would have been a better game on paper. I don't know how it would have panned out, but because you got to play the game on the field. But it's like we expected. Our expectations were so high. Like my expectations of the Chiefs game, and I'm sorry, but I'm a sucker for history. Like I didn't care who won the Super Bowl, but I was like, all right, a three-peat in my lifetime.
Right. That'll be interesting.
Right. The interest for me was there at that point.
But there was some fatigue some Chiefs fatigue was starting to set in.
Most definitely. And again, these are players that in the last 3 seasons have played an average of 3 to 5 games more than everybody else. That has an effect to it mentally probably as well. You have this.
That's a good point. Yeah. I mean, you're talking one full season, pro season, another full season, now the third full season, postseason. That's
and then in your head, you're telling your body you can keep going, but your body's like, sometime in this.
Are you surprised they played to this level? I mean, here I just went back and got some box scores: 6 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, 11 quarterback hits, 2 interceptions. 1 for a touchdown, and a partridge in a pear tree. I mean, that is just snapping the ball, and the defense is in the backfield against Andy Reid. That's crazy good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and it takes kind of away from the fact that Andy Reid is such a good offensive mind because they didn't have any offense in the Super Bowl. And it takes a little bit of the shine away from Mahomes being considered one of the best or one of the greatest.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, these are human beings.
Is your opinion less of Mahomes now, or is it even, or is it what was your opinion of Mahomes now after a game like that?
Well, as many conversations that we always have, I don't think anybody should be crowned until after the career is over with, right? Remember?
But it works for good sports topics.
yeah. And Green said from the ex-Minnesota, you want to crown him, but he still has to play. I don't think, and I never thought. I don't think I've ever mentioned that Mahomes is going to surpass any quarterback. When we were talking about, I had him under below John Elway, if you're ranking him. So
yes,
I'm not ready to.
Elway did it with two different coaches, so
yeah,
you probably want to wait. I don't know if Andy Reid going to stay his whole career. Mahomes' whole career, excuse me.
Right. I don't know where Mr. Andy Reid is at. He's had a remarkable career. I don't think he'll go on this note. If anything, he'll probably, maybe 2 more seasons. I'm not sure what his family life is like. He's had issues with his family before, and health.
Yes.
So, I can't speak for him and my expectations. I have a better feeling of Andy Reid staying and coaching 2 more seasons and being decent compared to Belichick staying 4 seasons and stinking it up. Because I mentioned that before.
Yeah, Michael's got a good point. And they had 2 rookies that we talked about back in April of last year. Remember those? Cooper DeJean on his 28th birthday.
Yeah, man. And
very impressive front office they got up there in Philadelphia, man.
Yeah, Howie Rosen, right?
Howie Roseman. Yeah, Lurie's the owner. Rosen's the general manager.
Listen, those guys been doing it up for the last 3 seasons. The fact that the Eagles got back in the last 3 seasons, again, guys, the Eagles have been competitive the last 3 seasons. Don't just think that this is their first shot. They've had opportunities here and there, and they had a team that blew it 2 seasons ago. But them staying up in that upper echelon is a credit to their coaching staff, to everybody saying that this guy was on the hot seat. And I think this is you can give credit to Sirianni and his coaching staff on the offensive side this time, that it was a balanced team. And it's like the Detroit Piston win when they won with that defensive team, and everybody was like,
in 05?
Yeah. And I sat back there. I disliked the fact that history wasn't made, but I did like the fact that it was a whole team effort. Even the kicker had a 50-yard field goal, right?
Kels had a bye week, and he didn't do. I think Kels should retire. I think yes.
I mean, he might play another 2 seasons himself.
Everybody's saying that. You think he's going to come back? He hasn't said anything yet.
I don't know. Like, we don't know.
What's your opinion? Does he come back or not?
It's hard to say no to that change, to that money, to that sound of money coming in.
I think he has 1 more year left. He probably will and stink it up, and they won't cut him for some reason. But
I mean, he's one of those
consistent, man.
I know, but he's an integral part of your team. He's a security blanket for Mahomes. Mahomes doesn't. If he leaves, Mahomes doesn't have a go-to guy. So there's
they'll have Rashid Rice back in another year with his.
Yeah, he's not the go-to guy, bro. Like, Mahomes knows if he throws the ball to Kelsey, is a 99.1% chance that Kelsey's going to be there. If he don't make the catch, that's not on Mahomes. Kelsey didn't make 3 catches in the Super Bowl that looked like he should have caught the ball. But again, he's human.
But he only had 30 yards,
Yeah, no. I'm not saying
he was going to be the odd man out and have a big game. He really let me down.
Right. I was on that Worthy kid, man, and he did show up a little bit.
Garbage time, but he's got the speed and he's coming into his own.
I'm not sure why they didn't put him as a go-to guy from the get, because of him being young, his first Super Bowl, and him being a speedster, man. I would have showcased him from the get, just to see what kind of player I have, because he's going to be back, right? So you just give him a little bit of something more exciting on the team, and but Mahomes didn't look comfortable behind that O-line. credit to Nick Fangio, right? Like he did a great job, and
now he's 1-7 against Mahomes.
yeah, I mean, a good.
That's a big one, though. It was a big one.
Good overall Eagles team, front office, fans, everything just kind of melded together and worked in their favor. And Eagles, fly, Eagles fly, and enjoy this, because this is probably going to be one of the best Eagles teams you're ever going to see as far as well balanced. To be honest with you.
Well said. Well said.
You know. So.
Yeah. And I've got to bring Jamie back on probably next week, folks. I wanted him to get
I told everybody, yeah, like, you know, but and again, like,
I wanted to get it all out of my system, Rob.
Yeah, no, again, like
words, yeah.
Listen, I wasn't against them this year at all. I had them as one of the best defensive teams. I should have rolled with my gut, but again, I got excited about the Chiefs.
Did you pick the Eagles 2 years ago?
Yeah,
I think they didn't. Both picked the Eagles and both lost. Yes,
right.
Yes. Kevin Carroll picked the Chiefs then, you know, and I thought they had the better team then. The difference now, Jalen Carter, great defensive backfield, much better, much better.
Saquon
and a less offensive line there for Kansas City.
Yeah, and to bring in Saquon into Philadelphia, as much as I dislike it and hate it as a Giants fan and a New Yorker, they don't have to worry about having two running backs, you know, and they don't have to worry about as much as with the O-line. With the O-line they had, they didn't have to worry about him being injury prone, right? Because as long as he gets that through the first line, he's going to get you some yak yards, and he's less likely to get injured after, you know, beating up on smaller players in the back end compared to getting hit up by O-lines. That's how he gets hurt the most, is getting smacked up by the defensive ends and the D-line. So he didn't have that issue, right? He stayed kind of healthy. So, you know, that was a good pickup for the Eagles, man. Everything just went their way. NFL fans need
does anybody, now that the journey has been complete, do other teams take this approach, this uber aggressive approach, now that it's been done, or is things going to remain the same because these owners are stuck in their ways?
Yeah. Okay. You hit it right. The second point you made is, you know, these Uber businessmen, they want things their way. There's not enough patience in the world that
used an Uber for this level of like we talked about. I talked about this with Jamie last week, or whenever. Yeah, it was last week. Boy, after you win the Super, it feels like it's like weeks of light years away from 1 week before the Super Bowl, because there's so much hype, and then after the Super Bowl, there's so much storylines. But you know, they had DeAndre Swift on that team. Howie Roseman wanted to go out and get Barkley. You know, you had a 1,200-yard rusher. You could have saved a few million. He's like, no, we want the best running back that we think's available in his prime, Saquon Barkley. I disagreed with that. He was right. I was wrong. That's an uber aggressive move. You know, they re-signed Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. That's an uber aggressive move. I wouldn't have did that either, but he was right. I was wrong.
Yeah, listen. Again, I was
not general manager.
Yeah, you and I were questioning that, right? Why would you sign two wide receivers and one of them isn't happy usually?
Look what happens with Miami, for example, of reasons why it won't go right.
Right.
They got both of their guys got Hill and the other guy. What's the other guy's name? The other star they got from Alabama. They both got second contract. Hill wants a third contract.
I mean, every player who puts on a uniform in any sport has a right to ask for any amount of money. Whether they get what they get will depend on what they did and what they can do. And I'm not going to go against that, because that's not my business. At the end of the day, you know, people got to do what they got to do to make the monies. Yeah. But as far as the Eagles, man, I don't believe teams have enough patience to beat. And I say this, and this is going to sound kind of weird coming from a New Yorker. And the teams that they don't have the right NFL acumen to go with the business acumen that they are very prone to have. And I say that in a sense where, Roseman was doing these deals, trades. He got younger. He got Mekhi Becton from the Jets. He got Saquon from the.
He turned out to be playing pretty well.
And they both
were pointed out in the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah, and they both were like they were both kind of like in a sense. Well, Saquon top rated, but Becton was like, oh, he's going to be a bust. But they didn't give the guy an opportunity. They had a coaching situation in the Jets, and it was just bad for him. And the Eagles gave an opportunity, and there you go. You have one of the best linemen, part of the lineman team, of the best line. He's part of one of the best lineman group out there. So like these kind of moves that he made, getting rid of Swift for Barkley, that was kind of ingenious and also a business move. You don't want to pay Swift if you could almost pay just a little bit more for Barkley and get more on a return on investment, right? Because he was a higher rated running back. So those kind of things, man. He bet and gave a 2-year or a 1-year contract to that linebacker, and he ended up being
I think his name was
one of the best players in the Super Bowl. He stuck with Jalen Hurts and the team stuck with Jalen Hurts, knowing that maybe this guy wasn't ready yet. The first time he didn't look ready. They didn't, and they were like, we're just, and those kind of things, man. They didn't just depend on the moves they made. They depended on the players to play the game. That NFL acumen, that's missing from the Jets and the Giants, man. They're not allowing these players to play the game.
It's missing from a lot of teams around the league, and that's why I said.
Yeah, and that's why I don't think that you can copy this.
I'm proud of what Amy Adams-Strunk has done. She's added to their scouting department, adding new assistants. She's bought a new general manager. Maybe this lady, for example, down here in Nashville, is starting to see it's mainly about the front office. Yeah,
but you got to be patient and you have to accept if you didn't make a good move, you got to move on. And like the Eagles made that move to get Kellen Moore. Now he's gone. But they at least made that move to say, listen, let's get this guy. He can help us and be more.
Remember, he was fired essentially from Dallas,
right?
A few years ago.
Yeah. So like, I think, and I'm sure a lot of teams want to copy this kind of plan and projection type of model that the Eagles have, but they can't and they won't. And it's teams gotta find within themselves and create an infrastructure that works best for them, for their team owner, their team players, the team fans, and more than anything, like you be your own and create your own identity. Because when you try to do something that somebody else did, it's not going to make you any better.
I just think that I think it's simple if your owner's behind you. Essentially, go out and just acquire as much talent as you possibly can and do not pull back on any specific position like 90-something percent of the teams would do with the examples we just mentioned. So essentially, Tennessee, I was reading something out of The Athletic on Monday that says this Dane Broger or whatever his name. He's one of the guys I read when I put together like mock drafts like we did last year, and I kind of add them all up. He was giving me like a big board, right? Kind of like what Mel Kiper does. He didn't even have Schroeder Sanders or Cam Ward as a top player. He had guys like Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, the guy from Penn State. Those were quarterbacks didn't come into play to like number 12. So if the Titans were wanting to do the Eagles model, they would try to trade down, of course,
right?
Or they would take the best available player and go with that model that they need versus getting a quarterback that you would need and just accumulate the talent that way. It makes me think about when they got Jalen Carter, the way they got those two cornerbacks, Mitchell and Cooper DeJean,
And you mentioning that, you're talking about one of the most important facts that people keep missing. And I say it, and I'm not an ageist. I'm just like a realist. And the situation is the Eagles' average age was 26 years and 8 months as a team. Think about that. Like
that's pretty young.
Yeah,
well, that's right in the prime, really.
Right. So you're right where athletes peak at the age of 25 to 27, because you got to do the numbers on the whole team, right? So and I say it all the time, like, just you got to get young, you got to get fast. If you're young and you're fast and you're a defense, you forget about what happened in the last play and you just move forward and just keep grinding. And
they're right in their prime.
Yeah, and that's important. That is very important. And I know it sounds like discrimination and against age, but it's a real situation. The younger you are,
it's just the bones and the structure and the recovery time. I gotta ask you. You mentioned Jalen Hurts. You mentioned taking a chance. I thought Hurts was going to be a bust. He was originally brought in there to be Taysom Hill type of player that was to Drew Brees. Taysom Hill was supposed to be kind of a gadget, or Jalen Hurts was supposed to be a gadget guy for Carson Wentz. And this guy ends up getting to be the starting job. Jalen Hurts is 5-3 in the playoffs, has 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 win, has destroyed this Kansas City team twice. He's had 2 bad turnovers. He had 1 strip sack fumble in the other Super Bowl, and he had 1 here. I thought it was like it was a long pass, but it was kind of like a punt, The guy intercepted it on the 3, if you remember the one Sunday. Yeah. Is he better than Lamar Jackson? Let me read this audience some of these postseason numbers here for Lamar Jackson right now. In the playoffs, 3-5. He's opposite. 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 6 fumble losses, 60% completion percentage. He's awful. He's like Peyton Manning in the early years. Who do you take right now? Jalen Hurts or you take Lamar Jackson?
Listen, again, everything on paper, and if you're a scout and a coach, you're always going to take Lamar Jackson over Jalen Hurts. And it's just
you're going to take the speedier, more athletic guy.
This is the more athletic, the speedier guy, and the guy that gives you an opportunity that he could break. Once he breaks free, he can give you a 20+ yards, a carry. A carry. And Jalen Hurts, he gets his yardage, but he's not averaging plus 20 once he breaks it. He's going to go but this year he did use his legs a little bit more. He did, especially in the Super Bowl. It was good to see him get more. Remember I said he needs to get more than 12 yards. He can't just stay in the pocket. And and he did that. And kudos to Jalen Hurts and kudos to the coaching staff, allowing him to be him, not putting him in the box, not forcing him to do things that he can't do. He looked comfortable behind his line. Mahomes didn't look comfortable behind his line. It was like night and day. And you would have thought
what
the Mahomes was the
Monday, Carlos. Doesn't he need to work on his short passing game now? The quick twix game, the screen game.
I think
he can't roll out on every single play,
Yeah, I think these guys are doing the right thing, going to the offseason, hitting it, grinding, and working on what they didn't do well and working on what they can do better. And they have the right head on their shoulders. Lamar has a good head on his shoulders. Hurts has a great attitude, good head on his shoulders, and they're not listening to the noise. And in 5 years from now, they probably will be equal in the amount of Super Bowl attempts and the amount of.
You're still rolling with Lamar.
Yeah, but I'll still roll with Lamar, for sure. I like what Jalen Hurts did this Super Bowl. I'm not sure if the Eagles can come back and maybe get him back there 1 or 2 more times. Yeah. And the Ravens the same thing. I don't know if they're going to ever make it to a Super Bowl and get a win with Lamar.
Yeah. Well, the reason why I left Josh Allen out of that argument, Michael, on the screen, Allen's never had the players around him to the level of the Eagles. Right. The Ravens had 8 Pro Bowlers. God knows how many Eagles had this year. 8 or 9 themselves, right?
Yeah, and Michael, I'm the worst person to ask or talk about the Buffalo Bills because I just dislike them, man. I don't feel like they have ever put up.
He definitely deserved the MVP, though, right?
Yeah. No, he's in a small market team with big market attributes, and he wants to stay there. He loves it there, And if he does stay there, just like Joe Burrow, if these two quarterbacks stay there, they'll never win a Super Bowl ever, because they do not have enough bankroll to get a team like the Eagles were able to do and build, because they just can't. They just can't.
I think the Bills have a prayer. It's a miracle Cincinnati even got there the year that they did.
Well, these two teams,
crap owner they got up there.
These two teams have been very lucky because of the divisions they've been in, have been very poor. Like, have been doing very poor, and they've gotten the
the North is very good.
Who?
The North is good. I think Burrow's just really good. And
this season they weren't that good. This season Pittsburgh was, like trending going up, and then they flatted out, and then Cleveland was up and down.
Cleveland was bad. Pittsburgh got to the playoffs, so did the Baltimore.
Yeah. And then the Browns themselves were trying to get there. So they were, they're in that division. But what I'm saying is that division wasn't competitive enough to play each other and then go play an AFC West division team and be able to conquer that team. You know what I'm saying? So when you play when the competition is so bland and basic and mediocre, the Bills can't go out and compete, because they don't compete every week and in their division with a team like the Chiefs, right? So, they got the Jets, the Dolphins. They're mediocre and very inconsistent. So how are you gonna get better?
They beat them in the regular season, and
but I mean,
the Bills are very thin. They have less margin for error.
They have no depth. They have very little depth. So.
Right. They got. Let me say this to the question I asked you. My answer is this game is built on playoff success. Early in the years, maybe it was because Peyton Manning was so bad at Tennessee against Florida. I was always a Brady guy, even on my Tennessee. I'm a true Sturm guy. I would take Jalen Hurts from what he did to that Kansas City defense 2 times in a row. I'm taking Hurts over Lamar Jackson. I think he's a more polished passer. He makes less mistakes. He makes bigger plays in the playoffs than Lamar Jackson does. The numbers bear it out. And he's 2 years young. He's been in the league 2 years later. He came in the league in 2020. Jackson's been in there since 2018 and has a losing record. Now, like you said, maybe this will change. History says Lamar is going to win a Super Bowl because he's got 2 MVPs.
Right.
And he could have potentially had 3. So, but as of right now, I'm taking Hurts because their talent is equal around them. I think that's a fair argument.
Yeah, I mean, we have next year to look forward to for all these young quarterbacks coming up. And it's good to see them coming up, and it's good to see that there's a variety, and some of these teams are trying to build up and be.
Maybe they got lucky in the draft, Michael. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, look,
and they got a new defensive coordinator. The Bengals do. They've got Al Golden.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know if that's going to do anything.
Yeah, the biggest issue in Cincinnati is trying to keep all those 3 main guys there with your 2.
And he's already said, guys, that I'm talking to you, Michael, that he would. He said that this week he would adjust his contract.
Yeah, he said. Yeah,
he should do.
But here's the thing. Even this is the biggest problem about being in that small market team is that even if he adjusts his contract, right? What is that team? What are the Bengals going to do with that money? Because if they make the wrong moves and just focus on offense, then the defense is going to struggle.
I really wish they would just let Higgins walk, and go after some defensive players. That's me personally.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's if you're in a small market team, the likelihood of you winning the Super Bowl is tough, man. It's really tough.
Well, for one thing, you got to have an owner that can spend some money. It doesn't really matter in NFL's because you got TV money, but it matters in how you write the. Colin Cowherd says there is issues with poor owners.
Yeah.
To pay, he claims to pay Joe Burrow this contract that Cincinnati had to sell the naming rights to the stadium. I mean,
right.
How's this guy even an owner?
Right. And And
I
look,
guess because he's grandfathered in.
and that's
Mike Brown,
everyone.
who I'm talking about, folks. The
Yeah,
owner of
that's
Bengals.
everyone in sports, though. Robert, like Stephen
Yeah, of
Cohen.
course.
Stephen Cohen sold the minor league contracts that he had with the Mets to another ownership group that runs the minor leagues now to get the contract for Soto. Like, it happens. That's business. Again, though, he got Soto. They won the Soto deal on that, and so now there's going to be a little bit of return on investment on that. But
Yeah.
listen, this is apple and oranges because baseball money is different than football money. And their contracts are different as well. The upfront money, the money up front, that's the way salaries are paid out. So the real situation is this. The teams, if their focal point is getting a quarterback, then you got to pay for the quarterback. If you get the quarterback in the draft and he's a top-rated quarterback and he's going to get you wins, you don't have to pay him for 4 years. That's not happening often. Yeah. It's not real. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's not a lot of teams winning Super Bowls like that. There are teams that do that, but then again, on the back end, they have stars on the team already that balance that equation out a little bit, So,
well, I think one of the Eagles things that they do is, I know Jeffrey Lurie's big into analytics and whatnot.
Right, very big into that stuff.
He's big into analytics. They have a good capologist. I remember looking over Jalen Hurts' contract when he first signed his extension, which he's already done. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, their cap hits are not that bad. He's getting paid. He's getting paid a good, good amount of money, but they figured out a way to pay him. They pay Barkley. They're paying A.J. Brown. They're paying Devontae Smith. And they've got a loaded. Now that defense is a lot of that's on rookie contracts. So
right. I was gonna say, and they balance that out.
I think also that's a model going back to the Rams. One of their models was just get your whole defense on a rookie contract. But
the Rams hitting
Burst won defensive player or defensive rookie of the year last year.
Yeah. The Rams back in the day, back in the St. Louis days, one of the biggest hits that they got was Orlando Pace, and they didn't have to
overall pick, yeah,
and he ended up being one of the staples to
Hall of Famer, I think.
Yeah, to have even Marshall Faulk be over there and gain so many yards, going, and protecting guys like Kurt Warner and the other quarterback that they had back then. So, like, when you get a stalwart in a position like that. That helps. Like, again, the Eagles ended up getting Mekhi Becton, who the Jets were considering a bust. And he ended up being one of the best young O-linemen on that squad, on that line.
Well, he's got a good squad around him,
Yeah,
it's not getting him destroyed. And you know what? They moved off both coordinators. They looked terrible in that Tampa game last year in the playoffs because they hired in-house. They went out, got a big-time defensive coordinator. They got they got a proven offensive coordinator who's now the coach, by the way, of the Saints. And by the way, I told you Saints will be the last job. The Saints are the opposite. They're busted on the cap. Their owner sits on her hands, and the Saints are going to be the Aints again for a long time. It's going to be the Saints before Drew Brees and Sean Payton got there.
I mean,
the Aints. Actually, they were okay in our lifetime, but my dad's lifetime, they used to have brown bags over their heads. So,
yeah, a huge stadium with very little fans. Those games were always blacked out too. If you were a Saints fan and lived outside of New Orleans or Louisiana, you were not going to catch that game at all. Well, less than 10,000 people in the stadium, bro.
What do you think about Aaron Rodgers, man?
So this whole situation with the Jets and cutting him, I get it, but like, you paid him, you got him
official today, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, you paid him, you got him here. You might as well just let it play out and give him one more year. You're not going to get.
You don't think they should cut him?
Where are they going to go? What are they going to do? They don't have a plan, man. And if they do have a plan,
that's the story of their franchise. They're the opposite of the Eagles.
And if they do have a plan, and with this new coach and this new, and this new regime, then fine, so be it. Go ahead and try, but it just seems like the same old, just a different name on it. As long as they got nice jerseys and they sell out jerseys before the spring, I guess that's all that matters for them right now. I've been waiting for new ownership for the Jets since I moved here, so that's not going to happen. But
he said that. He said it in the interview. He said, "I got to be a better owner," Woody Johnson.
Well,
And
I mean, it
I
only
said,
took
tell us something we don't know. You know?
Yeah, it only took about 25 years, man. Whatever.
You know, they did make it to the AFC Championship game a couple times with Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, I was here for that. I was excited about it. I had I'm only bitter because I had got into an opportunity to buy playoff Super Bowl tickets.
Do they bring back Sam Darnold?
No.
This Michael was asking about that early.
The Jets don't.
Aaron Glenn coached against him.
Yeah, but
he beat his butt both times. But
when you cut a player like a quarterback, don't bring him back. It's not good for the quarterback's mental, game, and
it's a whole new staff though.
It's not good for the image of the team, man, because it just makes it look like you did a terrible job with him for the get. So just cut ties, let it go, let him go, be creative, and do some things in another team. It's not that I don't like. I never thought that he was going to be pan out as a good Jets quarterback, and he's actually a decent quarterback outside of New York. But decent quarterback don't bring you Super Bowls, man. you gotta got some kind of moxie. Like Jalen Hurts got moxie. His thing is like, I'm gonna keep doing what I can, and I'm gonna win, and that's all that matters. That's his mentality. That's his structure. That's his plan. And he's a winner. He's won in Alabama. He's won everywhere he's gone. So now he's won in Philadelphia. So, and the same thing with Pat Mahomes. He's like, I'm gonna do whatever I can to carry this team. I'm gonna make crazy throws. I'm gonna make crazy runs. I'm gonna be unstoppable. And that's his moxie. That's his thing.
Well,
did he do that?
I think they got the 9th pick, right? This year.
For the Jets? Yeah.
Remember seventh pick, I think.
Remember I told you that the Giants were gonna pick like 5th and the Jets were gonna pick 6th.
Yeah, you did say that, man.
I was so close, man. I was so close.
Yeah, you did pretty good. I think they got the 7th pick, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it's
so that would put them. I've heard Jackson Dart's getting a lot of hype.
Oh my god!
Did they just take the best available athlete at 7 and maybe go after Dart in one of the later rounds? Did they trade their 2nd round pick for Adams to the Raiders from the Raiders? Yeah, they're playing the Jets. You just don't know. They'll probably have to use that 7th overall pick for a quarterback.
Nah, I mean, I'm always on the sell part. Just build up depth. Get some young guys you don't have to pay.
Just get your best players available. Yeah.
Yeah, fill up the holes. You can go and in this draft, you can go up 4 rounds and get decent like players that are going to be overlooked. They're going to be coming out of school, and they might not be the great players in college, but they can end up being the great players in NFL. Like a lot of great players in the NFL were only okay or decent players in college. So,
it depends on what team they were on, and it depends, Michael asked about Sam Darnold. I'm not sure where Darnold goes.
I think he stays.
Hunter and Sanders may go to the Giants. Well, I know Sanders may go to the Giants.
Yeah, I don't
see that. And or Sanders may go to the Raiders. Hunter may go to the Giants at 3. The Giants may try to go after Sam Darnold and put him with Brian DeBall, perhaps.
That's a possibility. But if I'm the Vikings, I just tie him down right now. Just because you don't really know what you got in J.J. McCarthy. He's just coming off an injury. You make that a competitive quarterback thing, and you already know what you're getting from Darnold, and you know that he just needs a couple more tools in that team and a couple more folds, and he gets it over there. And he's comfortable. So why would you look for somebody else and depend on somebody who's coming back from an injury, hasn't played, and the last time they played, it was in college, and or played in the last actual play he had was in practice. Yeah. So you want that guy to run your team? Come on, bro. Like you put your best player in the situation, give you a best opportunity to win. And JJ McCarthy is not that player right now. No matter how good his ceiling is. He hasn't played in the NFL in 3 NFL games.
Yeah.
Much less
But
one.
the coaches know what they got, though.
Everybody knows what they got until they play on the field and then the quarterback gets smacked around. So, look, I mean, I just think you got to be comfortable.
So you're saying Minnesota's going to give him a big contract?
No, they'll sign him on
the franchise thing.
They'll tag him. I would tag him.
Yeah.
Well, would you not keep him?
It feels like the safest move to tag him. You know?
Would you? Yeah. Would you not keep him? If you're Minnesota,
it's probably the tag. Yeah, I had to think about it, and it just that topic wasn't what I was thinking. But yeah, I mean that's good. Now, as far as the Jets are concerned, they're going to have to need some kind of veteran to put in there. Are you going to put Cousins in, or are you going to put Darnold in there, or not Darnold, but do you trade for another quarterback? Do you go out for Ryan Tannehill? What about Russell Wilson? I don't know if Steelers going to bring him back.
Yeah, if the Steelers don't bring back Wilson,
Rodgers may go to the either to Steelers or I think to the Raiders.
Yeah, they'll do a switcheroo.
I go here.
I mean, I think Russell Wilson is like 4 years too late for a New York team. I remember I wanted him here 3 years ago.
Yeah.
On either New York team, I would have been okay with that. As a bridge quarterback, people, not as my number one, keep him forever to replace Eli Manning. No, it's.
He's in bridge stage now.
Yeah, he was always going to be a bridge quarterback no matter where he went. So,
yeah.
But I would rather have a guy like Russell Wilson than not knowing what you get and hoping for the best from a rookie, aka Dennis, just Danny Dimes guy. But beyond that, I like.
And by the way, he's with Minnesota too, so there's a chance they might walk away from Darnold from the last 2 games he played in. Wasn't good,
Again, are you going to put all your shekels in the 2 guys, one who's played the worst type of football in his career and a guy who's never played football in the NFL?
But you got the quarterback whisper there and O'Connell.
It don't matter. That's just bad business, bro. And as far as bad business, which
I tell you what, that's the most interesting storyline there. Because they got a lot of confidence. I got a lot of confidence in O'Connell.
Yeah, I mean, he's young. He came in as one of the youngest quarterback rookies just turning 21. Sam Darnold.
Yes, he was very young. Very young. I remember that.
He wasn't even old enough to drink with his teammates. So
if the Titans trade with the Jets, the Jets would have to give them a ransom to come up 6 spots. And I don't think the Jets have a second overall pick.
I mean, they can't even trade their name anymore because they already have the old New York Titans name.
That is true.
Look,
back in the day,
I don't know what the Jet. I'm reading all this stuff. There's a lot of things in the air. This is New York. There's a lot of it's just talk. I want the Jets to come out like Ross Perot, give me a pie chart and tell me exactly what they want to do. And I might buy a ticket this season. But if they don't tell me a plan, they don't have you can't just be like, I got a new coach. A lot of teams got new coaches. Like, you give me a plan, man. Show me what you're trying to do. Show me what you're working with. And I might buy a ticket. But if not, I'm gonna do the same.
Who do you like best for Rodgers?
The fact that he's not gonna I don't feel like he wants to retire. I feel like he wants to go out and do something big. He's gonna go to a team that has an opportunity to be in the playoffs, right? So I'm not sure if he's willing to take a backup role, but if he takes a backup role, and I'm just shooting this out in the air here, man. If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I myself would go to the Broncos. That's just me, and I say that because the Broncos have a young guy. He could sit there and be like, bro, you doing your thing. If that guy gets hit on a bad run, or something happens where he gets a twitch, put Aaron Rodgers on that team, and they don't got to do much. But you don't give him the ball right away. You just let him sit down, relax, be a backup, and just enjoy your late quarterback years.
He's not going to do that. He's going to want to start somewhere.
Everybody wants to start.
I think the Raiders are probably they might be able to. The Raiders got a left tackle. They have a big time tight end. They need maybe another receiver somewhere. They got a lot of money.
Aaron Rodgers,
And they've got Chip Kelly as an offensive coordinator.
I don't know if Aaron Rodgers would do good with Chip Kelly.
Oh, they do have a third-round pick from Detroit. So they do have 6 picks, the Jets do. So they don't have a 7th-round pick, but they got 2 6s, and they got 1, 2, and 3. I thought they may have gave up another pick. They did something with Detroit, and they've got a 3rd-round pick from them. So
the only thing with Vegas is that they're like the New York Jets of the West Coast. They just want to sell the name and the brand, and I feel like if Aaron Rodgers goes that route, because it's a beautiful uniform, that silver and black, and being having a tough image. It's not for loss. They've had some decent teams, but right now you're in Vegas, you got money, you put Aaron Rodgers on the team, you're gonna make more money, right? But are they gonna win with him? It's an interesting situation there. And again, guess who's the part owner? Do you think Tom Brady wants to bring Aaron Rodgers into the
it might. I don't know.
Into the Las Vegas Raiders?
I don't think Rodgers has that many options, to be honest with you.
Again, if he's willing,
maybe.
There's a lot of coaches out there be like, would take a hit on him if he's willing to be on the passenger side instead of the driver's seat.
Would your Giants take him if they miss out on these quarterbacks?
Holy hell. I don't know this guy. I don't know what these guys are doing. Their football acumen is as good as their hot dog acumen, picking a good hot dog joint. I never trusted them, and I will not trust them, and I'm ready to buy tickets as soon as they leave. I don't like Dave.
You're saying the ball and whatever his name is.
Yeah, I've never been big on him.
I never drank.
I never drank the Kool-Aid. You've heard me. I've always said it.
Yeah.
He went into the playoffs with the facade of a defense and hoping that this quarterback would turn the page. And I was like, that's not a good plan. But at least they had a plan. But still, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was better to have no plan than that plan.
Yeah, that's true, man.
But what the Giants need to do, and what they should do, sell all their picks. They already have a few young pieces there, right? They're not ready to win. They're not ready to win this year. You want to win?
Trade down, just accumulate.
Trade down. If this guy's giving you headaches about wanting to be the best wide receiver, use him as some trade bait. And you
talking about trade Malik Neighbors?
You can't tell me that you're ready to win if you don't have a ready to win team. So yeah. Malik Neighbors, mark my words, next season is trade bait. Because the Giants can't do anything. No. It's because the Giants can't do anything to be a competitive team for the next 2 or 3 seasons. That's just reality.
They're going to get a good player at 3. I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll probably use that pick. They probably will get a Travis Hunter. And they need help at corner. By the way, he's going to go to the combine as a corner. He's not going to go there as a wide receiver. That got reported today.
I feel like Hunter will go somewhere else, and I feel like New York needs to just focus on the future. Don't even try to get a quarterback this year because you're not going to find one. Any quarterback you get this season would be a bridge quarterback, and you're not going to win a Super Bowl this year, coming year. So you're gonna tell me that the Giants,
I hope they don't get Kirk Cousins. But then again, maybe it's a way to tank and get the number 1 pick next year.
How about this, Robert? You're willing to tell me that the Giants will get an average of 5 to 6 players? Mind you, they're not going to be the greatest players. They're going to be like, they could be on the upper echelon, but they're not going to be the best players. They're going to get 5 or 6 in this whole new season, upcoming signing, trades, and draft picks. 5 or 6, and they're going to be able to beat the newly winning Super Bowl Eagles and the Washington Commanders, who are starting to peak, and then compete against and then the Dallas Cowboys and the Giants are the odd team out in this division.
Yeah, the Giants are still going to finish bad,
Yes, that's reality, man. I want to be positive, and I want to look for brighter skies and greener grass. But I'm not. Come on, man. And don't sell me the future looks, promising. Don't sell me that.
Some people have them taking Cam Ward. I mean, it depends. A lot of people have the Browns taking like Abdul Carter. So a quarterback. I didn't think Jalen Daniels was going to be this good. I don't think anybody thought.
No. That's not true, Robert. That's not
thought
true.
he was going to be this good?
We talked about it. We said that Jalen Daniels would do better than what's his name in Chicago. We said it last year.
Well, because his numbers were really good with LSU. Yeah,
but we said.
But I thought he'd be banged up more, man. I thought he was light to be banged up. I knew that the Cliff Kingsbury thing would help.
Yeah, but we talked about it. He's like, well.
But this level, though, man, he got the NFC Championship game.
Look, it wasn't just
off
him.
of a team that was rebuilding. Number 2 overall
it wasn't just
pick.
him. They did get a defensive coach who I was kind of like, and they were better.
But they got the really good coordinator though.
Yeah. So I mean, look, he did better than what's his name?
What if Ward does this for the Giants?
This is not that. If
nobody's saying that. I'm playing devil's advocate. Do you have any thoughts about that recension or the Hornets trying to make the NBA make the Lakers take this trade?
Yeah, when you told me, I told him, no, this cat's off injured, man. He doesn't play that many games.
Yeah, it's a good call there. I didn't look that much into him.
Yeah, he's only played 60 games in the last 3 seasons.
He's like Porzingis, man. He might be worse than Porzingis.
But he has a back issue and a foot issue, and I think it was just the Hornets were trying to dump salary and hoping that the Lakers were looking for a big man and hoping that this was going to be a quick sign and seal deal, and it didn't work out. It's good for the Lakers because here's what happens: they sent all the players back, but they gave the opportunity for these guys who were about to get traded to play better. And they knew that they were not wanted anymore. So now they didn't start on Monday, right? But now they're part of the team again, and so now they're all looking at each other like, and at the coaching staff like, you in the ownership like, you wanted us out, and so you got to take it one of two ways: you either play your heart out, or you just be like, send me to the G League, or put me on waivers. Maybe I'll find another team. You got to do one or the other, right? And most of the time, when you get this kind of message, you usually play better, especially if you're on a team that's more likely to be in the playoffs, right? Playoffs. Yeah. So this has actually worked out in the favor of the Lakers, who need depth, right? Because they got
Alex Len. Are the Lakers going to the finals from the West?
The Lakers will be competitive for the last 2 playoff bids, but I don't think they're deep enough to make it to the promised land.
I think that guy will wear it down, man. I think Denver will probably beat them.
Yeah,
could be wrong. They outscore Denver.
No, because Luka is coming back from an injury, and
he's only 6'8",
LeBron is playing some of the best basketball I've seen in the last 6 years that he's playing. Like he's doing well.
He's gonna wear it down.
Yeah, and again, I was about to say that the season's not over yet. So these guys that they plan on trading, they could step up and be part of this depth that the Lakers need. But I still don't think that's enough for them to be going to the promised land. But again,
the national networks jumped all over them. Then they lost again to the. Remember, they beat Utah, but then Utah turned around and beat them again last night.
Again, the next day, yeah.
I just hate the Lakers. I'm sorry. Lord forgive me, but the Lakers. Oh,
no, I'm not a big fan of the Lakers.
This thing fell right in their lap, man.
Look, it's going to help Luka more and the Lakers more than it will help Dallas. It helps Dallas because they can dump salary and they're again, small market. These things matter, people. You might not think so, but these things do matter. Money matters in the NBA and in NFL. Major League Baseball, they got bloated payrolls and checks, so it doesn't matter. But it matters. It matters, but it doesn't matter as much in these 2 other leagues. So, but you got to do what's good for your team, and the Lakers have somebody so that if LeBron slowly moves away from the game, Luka's a perfect person to build a team around. And he's going to be the man in less than 2 seasons. So,
Yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
Just-
Will LeBron and Luka win a championship?
together?
Yeah.
If they're going to win a
Either
championship,
this year or next year.
it'd have to be next year. They could, but it's just the depth problem in LA. They got two. They got
Well,
two
that would
huge.
be sick if they won. God, man. I mean, all right. Well, hey, you know what? The harder you work, luckier you get. I mean, maybe Pelinka's working hard or something, or they're paying the league off. I don't know. A lot of people think this is crazy. We'll see. We got to let this thing play off. You know, AD is hurt again.
I got a new one for you. How about this? In the next 5 years, there will be a James and a Luka winning a championship, but it won't be LeBron James. It'll be Bronny James. And Luka.
Well, who's the James?
Bronny.
Oh, please. I hope not. Golly.
If
Now,
anybody,
as soon as Bron retires, they'll kick the Bronny out to the side somewhere.
no, I feel like he's young enough and he's more impressionable, and a guy like Luka and Bronny can actually probably feed off of each other, to be honest with you.
Yeah, they moved Kincaid, and Kincaid's got to come back. This is pretty wild, man. We'll let it. You know, the NBA might do something about it. Daniel Stern may have stopped that thing. I'm getting over on time, man.
Yeah.
You guys have a happy Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. Thanksgiving.
Look, and not for nothing, Valentine's Day is not just a day for lovers; it's a day for friends. You guys keep it real, keep it true. All love, no war, and have a great weekend and enjoy yourselves, man. Appreciate you having me on, Robert.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course. I've got to work tomorrow, anyways. I'm going to drive these Valentines around.
He said, "Make money, not love. Let's do this."
And get some tips, and maybe I'll run into a chick looking for a Valentine. Oh, man.
Just make sure she got.
Mad New Yorker, everybody. Let's have a round of applause. Chad, Michael, appreciate you. See you next week. Have a good night, everybody, and stay tuned tomorrow. Got a great replay here on the Real Sports.